What's up, YouTube? Welcome back. So, I know I'm going to get criticized for making this video, most likely. Nevertheless, I'm going to do it anyway. And before I get into this video, I just want to give a disclaimer. I don't mean to offend or to stereotype anyone. I know that black people are a complex, multifaceted group of people, just like every other group of people. This is just my opinion, based on observation and lived experience. All right. So let's get into this. All right. So have you ever noticed that so many of our black comedians are brown and dark skinned? Take a minute to think about that. But have you ever noticed that? This is something that I don't think many people notice. I think this is something that's very much overlooked. But think about it. Name some comedians who are black. Think of some just off the top of your head. Now, how many of those comedians that you thought of were brown or dark skinned versus how many of those comedians that were, light skinned or biracial? Did you name more comedians who are light skinned or biracial? Or did you name more comedians who are brown skinned or dark skinned? Chances are you probably name more brown skinned, dark skinned comedians, right? Why is that though? I'm not sure where it comes from, but it seems like, brown skinned and dark skinned people have the gift of comedy. And I hope that doesn't offend anybody, but it seems like they do. I don't think that's anything to get offended by, that, dark skinned and brown skinned people, have the gift of making people laugh, because that's a good thing, because laughter leads to a happy feeling and happiness. But perhaps maybe darker skinned people are just maybe socialized to be funny, perhaps socialized to have a great sense of humor. On the other hand, people do say that comedy often comes from a place of pain. Maybe racial oppression has something to do with it. Or perhaps it's a way of assimilating. I think that's something that we don't really think about, or either we overlook as well. After all, assimilation is important, and to an extent we all assimilate, to an extent at least. Maybe some people assimilate more than others, but to an extent we all assimilate. So there's no reason to be taking shots at people for trying to assimilate, because it's necessary and needed for survival within the society we live in. But think about it. Comedy does put people at ease and puts them in a good mood, all of which helps people to be seen as friendly and non-threatening, right? Or perhaps dark-skinned black people are just innately funny and comedic. Maybe it comes with having a high melanin content. Do you think so? You think that that might have something to do with it too? But then again, I know some people will come through and be like, well, this person and this person, they're really funny and they don't have a high melanin content. Or either, well, this person has the high melanin content and they're not really funny, But again, just putting it out there, we're just having a friendly discussion, conversation. Nothing wrong with that, is there? But personally, this is just me, but personally, I do think that darker skinned black people do have a certain joie de vivre that is contagious, joy of life, for those who ain't with the French. But yeah, a certain joy of life that is contagious, therapeutic, and even healing that can't be found anywhere else. Again, this is just my personal opinion. So therefore, get you a dark-skinned person in your life, and your days in this land will be long and joyful. As well, though, I mentioned this before, but I'll mention this again. I think that darker skinned black people do have a certain creativity that is, unique and unrivaled, both in regards to comedy and just in general. Think about, the creativity that comes from like black people. Black people in general, just throughout the diaspora, but, as well, especially like African American people. But like even in work situations, I see this play out. The black segment of the work crew always got the laughs and the comedy. Sometimes a little too much. Sometimes black folks can get a little too relaxed and a little too carried away at work. But that's another video. But in the current office building I work in, the maintenance crew who works on the basement level, or the lower lobby as we call it, when I'm down there, I'm always, greeting and nodding, speaking to and saying hi and bye to dark-skinned black people, especially dark-skinned black men. And in my office, the black side, in the back, right, where the party at, right? It's always something to laugh at, you know. And, I think us lighter-skinned black folks have been blessed, to have front row seats to dark-skinned people's comedy and sense of humor and just, overall just talent and luster and presence. So, again, thank you to the dark-skinned folks for deeming us worthy not only to be in your presence, but also to be friends with, to have relationships with, to marry, to have kids with, and ultimately to be a part of your family. You give the community and the culture life and soul. And I thank you. And some people may be wondering, well, why make a video about something like this? It's not really necessary. It's not really needed. There's other things that we should be discussing because they are more pertinent. And that's true. But sometimes I think we can get a bit too bogged down in the negative aspects of blackness. And sometimes we forget to, celebrate the positive aspects of blackness. Right? And I know sometimes it can be difficult because sometimes the negative aspects really do need to be addressed. But we can multitask. We can do both. We don't have to pick one or the other. And as well, for people out there who are content creators and who are concerned about viewership and analytics and whatnot, I will say that positive content doesn't seem to get as much popularity and feedback as negative content does, right? And I make content that I feel like needs to be made because, ultimately just putting my thoughts out there that I feel like they need to be out there. Someone needs to see them because I know someone's going to come through based on that comment and kind of be like, well, you just seem like you're just concerned about the numbers. It's not really true. I'm more concerned about viewer engagement, actually, because I want people to give me their feedback based on what I put out there. And I think most content creators are like that. They ultimately put out content to receive some type of feedback on it, right? They express their opinions to receive some type of feedback on it. They even present facts to receive other people's thoughts and opinions on them. But to the people who would say something like that to me, to those people, when you want or when you ask for certain content, do you support it? Like, oh, you should be talking about this. But do you support that type of content? When people do talk about that, do you come through and post comments on it? Do you watch it, give it a thumbs up? Or do you just ignore it? Because people will say because there is a difference between what people say they want and what people actually want. Because sometimes it can be the same, but oftentimes there are many times where it's different. So that goes for those people who watch me and as well for those people who watch other people. And just in general, because some people talk about things that they hear on the radio about, the music, but it's like, well, when they do put music that's, really thought-provoking, wholesome, doesn't talk about the typical stuff, do you support it? Again, just putting that out there. But again, I just wanted to put this video out here as well, just to get you guys' feedbacks and thoughts, because I do think this is a bit of an interesting topic that probably wouldn't get any type of notoriety otherwise, because I don't think this would be something that would end up in the mainstream usually. And as far as the colorism conversation is concerned, usually these type of things, when the colorism conversations come up, we tend to concentrate on, the issues of colorism, which there's nothing wrong with that at all, because that's necessary, that's needed. But to make a long story short, I was just putting this out here to get you guys' opinion. So let me know what you think. Let me get some feedback from you. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Did the video offend you? Did the video make you feel some type of a way? Let me know in the comments section. One more thing before I go. I want to dedicate this video to Bernie Mac and his comedy legacy. Unfortunately, due to health issues, he's no longer with us. But nevertheless, I do wonder where Bernie Mac would be at this point. And as well, he kind of was in a space where he still hadn't fully realized and reached his potential within the comedy world. He still had a lot more to give, and unfortunately, he wasn't able to give it to us. So I just want to dedicate this video to Bernie Mac, his memory, and his legacy. So again, thanks for watching. Until the next video, adios and goodbye for now.